All right. So this is my design. I don't know if you can see that in all its glory.
Looks good.
All right, so I'll share my screen. Let's see. Are you able to see that?
Yeah, if you zoom out just a tad, the bottom of it's clipped a little bit.
Okay. Does that help any or no? Is that worse?
It helps a little bit, but still the bottom, there we go, that's better. Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
All right. Well, the first observation is I love the sweeping S-shaped black at the left. I think that's a really great, you know, stylistic way to present. It makes the Graduate Leadership Conference stand out. I think it's a good reverse the logo. Initially, I kind of wonder if that's violating a brand, but you know, if you're going to show on that black, you've got to do something with it. Initially, I like the photo looks nice. It's a good choice of photo. In fact, I think I picked the same one. You've got two typefaces that I can see, which is good. But those are my initial observations. It's really strong. I don't think you'll have to bring it, up to the level you'll want to get a great grade. I guess that's the first two steps in the critique. Is my reactions to it is I like it. There are some alignment things that I would look at.
Okay.
The two things that are kind of off to me in alignment are the photograph and the body text to the right. I would align the top of the body to the top of the photo, and if you need to scale up the photo to be able to line up with the bottom of the body text on the bottom of the photo, then I would do that. It looks like it just may need to be shifted because they're probably pretty close in size. I don't see really any alignment issues. Let's see, the message. I think the focal point is that title, and with the logo there. So my eye goes right to the major part of the message, which is that it's the Graduate Leaders Conference. And I think the hierarchy goes next to the text up at the top. I think the use of the type and the bold is a good way to pull the eye up there. The photo kind of breaks up that natural flow that would take the eye right up to it. So you might explore possibly reversing the photo, placing the photo, align it to the right, and experimenting with the body text. I know that's going to probably complicate how you would align your body text on the left.
Okay.
But that's such a strong shape, that S shape. It would be nice if you could utilize that to take the eye all the way back up. If you do that, though, you may run into the opposite problem, which would be it starts at the top where it should start at the bottom. So you might want to double check, what I'm telling you with, bringing the eye down first and then going up. So it may be that if you try what I'm suggesting, you might defeat the goal of pulling the eye down first.
Okay.
That's just one thing to keep in mind as you work with that. You might the alignment of the text on the top, I know you're trying to pull it over to that positive shape and work within that curved space, but it might work better if you justify to the right.
Okay.
Or align to the right. Aligning to the right is also always tough, especially if you can't do what you're trying to do in one line, because it creates a rag that's uncomfortable, and people aren't used, at least in the West, we're not used to reading things right to left. We want to read left to right.
Yep.
So it can be tough to try and do, but I think it's a little problematic that we're aligning without a hard vertical line on the left of that text, and so
Okay.
the text that's establishing that. So
Yeah.
again, if you can use the photo or another square way to help that alignment work, it could work right there. Otherwise, with another arrangement to get that to work a little bit better. It's working pretty well now. I like how question is a little bit bigger than the answer, which reinforces the hierarchy. You've got the title, you've got this question, the answer is next, and then your body text. I like how the date, time, and place are separated, and they're in a different font. Check the spelling.
Yeah,
One thing I noticed
that.
is there's spelling all the way through this, and I think it's intentional. It's to get us to proofread.
Yep.
So convention has a different spelling, and I'm sure you've seen it already.
Yeah, I just caught that.
The website information, I think the website I think there's a longer web address that you'll want to make sure you use. Because most people, when they post a website, sometimes you can get by with a word.com and a slash or backslash. But usually when you put up a web address, I think a more complete version of that might work a little bit better. Though nobody uses HTTP, the whole thing. Generally, when you show a link, they tend to use at least a www or a more complete version of that address. So I'd look into that.
Okay.
Other than that, I think that's pretty much my critique. I think you're probably taking a risk with reversing the logo, because I'm not sure that most brands do. If you see a logo guide, art guide for most brands, they do allow for a white on black. So it might be okay.
Okay.
I know that you're taking some liberties there and making some assumptions. So just be aware of that.
Yep.
But it looks good.
All right. Thank you. That was some good information to think about.
Yeah. So do we want to just flip over and I'll post mine?
Yes. Let me stop that. There you go. You should be able to see your screen now.
All right. Well, this is my flyer, which I'm sure you can't read, but there it is. And I will go ahead and share my desktop. And let me know if that's cut off at all.
It looks good, but is there any way to enlarge it a little bit?
It's maxed out on my screen. I can zoom in. How is it tiny on yours?
Yeah, it's pretty small on mine.
How's that?
Well, it's good for the first part.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me, I I can save out a PDF and just pull it up in a viewer or something like that. Let me try that.
I think if you hit F, I'm not positive. I know for Photoshop, if you hit F, it should bring up, I think, the black screen. So it'll take away like all the tools.
Oh, the expert mode? Yeah, I don't get anything.
Okay, maybe it's just Photoshop. Um,
Well, let me try this. Let me save it out as a JPEG, and I'll just pull it up in my viewer.
okay.
How's that? Oh, I've got to reshare this then. There we go. How's that?
That's a little bit better. It's still kind of hard for me to be able to see. Let's see. Okay, that works right there.
Okay.
All right. So what I like from the start is how you have basically the title of the flyer, the graduate leadership. I really like how that's laid out. And I also like how you have the image as it is, like how it's big and you can see what's going on.
Okay.
I also like how it kind of creates a little square in that on that left-hand side with the body text. It kind of just takes you there. It kind of flows right into that section.
Okay.
The only thing I'm a little thrown off is the date and time. That information, with it being on its side, it's a little bit hard to read.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm not quite sure on that. The other thing, like we were talking about before, was the logo that they have. That it kind of throws you off.
Uh-huh.
And I know it's not something that you can really do about it, but it's just kind of weird because
Well, I think the choice is important. I gravitated to it because it's a solid block, and it seemed like I could build alignment with it. But if it's too difficult to read and it's too ambiguous, it may defeat what I'm trying to use it for. So
yeah,
it's
I can see what you're trying to use it for, but um, it's just so kind of out there that it takes. I think it kind of takes away from the rest of the flyer and where you're trying to go with it.
yeah, and now that I look at it some more, the slanted lines and the N and the A just kind of pull your eye down and away. Um, no, it's worth considering using something else. I agree.
And I like how you um, made the communications bold. I like how that starts out.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the italics just above there?
I think it works. I think maybe you should have a little bit more line space between the question and come learn how at. I kind of feel like it blends in a little bit too much with the
Okay,
question. Um,
that makes a lot of sense.
and maybe if you can try to make the line space between the leadership conference and the come learn a little bit smaller so you can kind of see that as one sentence. It kind of feels like it's two separate things. If that
Say
makes
that again.
Does that make
The,
sense? So where
the
it said,
home,
so the line space between come learn how and leadership
yeah,
needs to be a little bit smaller. I feel like reading it, it's two separate things. So it's come learn, and then the next, like a next sentence would be leadership conference.
right.
So it's kind of reading a little weird there for me. The only other thing is the space as well between conferences available to graduating seniors and space is limited. Um, I feel like there's maybe a little bit too much white space right there,
Okay.
but I'm not quite sure how you would be able to.
Well, if I pull down conference closer to space is limited, um,
Yeah.
probably keeps it from hanging out by itself.
Yeah, that's true. That might actually help with that little part. Is it aligned with the square on the other side?
It is, but you know, it's short. It's hard to perceive that.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but you don't have to align to both the top and the bottom of an element like
No.
that.
I was just wondering if that was why there were spaced that way.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about the little blocks. The blocks seem to be a way to kind of block out the space without violating the negative space and give me something to align to.
Mm-hmm.
But they do kind of sit out on their own a little bit, so I'm not really sold on even having them there. I mean, I could have the text to the left and just have empty space to the right, and it would probably be fine. But I just dropped them in there just to see how I felt about it.
Yeah, you might want to play too with adding the date and time and place information on that side, on the right hand side there. That might be a good way to help balance that. Especially if you keep that logo, then I think it'd be a nice balance. And I think that since the image is so big that it kind of holds its own, like
Okay.
I don't feel like you would need to put anything in the white space there.
Okay. That makes perfect sense.
And then you might be able to just keep that I think that there's a square up there, right? Because I can't quite see the top of it.
Let me, I can, whoops, just up there. That square doesn't have to be there. It was only to strengthen the vertical alignment of that date, time, and place text. And
Well, if
if
you
I
wanted to
move
fill that, I was thinking maybe like you can play around with it, but if you wanted to move that information, that text information to the bottom right, and then you could leave that square there and maybe put in another square somewhere along there, like on the right hand side, right above the leadership conference.
Sure.
Just maybe something to kind of, you know, play with the pattern and rhythm and
Right. Balance it.
yeah, it might be something worth
Like three
trying.
tiles. Or something like that. All right. Anything else? That's good stuff.
I think that's it. I really like how you did the graduate leadership conference. It stands out, and I just like how you the font that you picked out and the kerning and everything. It looks really nice.
Thanks. Thanks. All right. Well, I can stop sharing and go back. Let's see. And we can stop the broadcast.
All
Signing
right.